What would society be like without laws? It'd be a lot like playing a game without rules. Without a set rule of law, society would be governed by the laws of nature. In a utopian world, people would be kind, generous, and considerate to their neighbors. Crime wouldn't exist, and the rights of men and women everywhere would be protected and respected. However, as we all know, the world isn't utopian. By nature, some people are predisposed towards cruelty and mistrust. Others learn to hate and take from those who are weak. As long as these kinds of people exist, the rights of citizens could be violated and injustice would reign in a society without laws. So, to protect the rights of citizens and ensure a just and secure society, the people adopt government and charge it with the task of creating and enforcing laws on their behalf. Government is the formal institutions and processes throughout which decisions are made for a group of people. Typically, government consists of three main components: people, powers, and policy. The people of government include elected officials, who have authority and control over others, as well as the public servants who carry out the day-to-day business of government. Everyone from the president, senators, congressmen, judges, all the way down to teachers and postal carriers are examples of people in government. Government power refers to the government's authority and ability to get things done. Government typically exercises three basic types of power: the legislative power to make laws, the executive power to enforce the laws, and the judicial power to interpret laws and settle disputes between citizens. Government policy is any decision made by government in the pursuit of a particular goal. Policy can take the form of a law or a government program that satisfies the public need, including taxation, national defense, transportation, and healthcare. Most governments exercise power within a state. A state is a political unit with the power to make and enforce laws over a group of people living within a clearly defined territory. States typically have four characteristics. The first is population. A state must have people, but population size doesn't really matter. Whether a large population or a small population, having a people means a state has a citizenry. The second characteristic is territory. A state must have clearly defined and recognized borders. Having territory means the state has clearly identified boundaries of jurisdiction. The third characteristic is government. All states are politically recognized, and the government can issue and enforce laws within its territory. Having a government means the state has a rule of law. The fourth characteristic is sovereignty. All states have supreme power to act within its territory and to control external affairs. This gives the state independence from other states and gives the state the authority to govern itself. Government performs a number of key functions and has a role to play in the everyday lives of citizens. The first function of government is to ensure national security. Government's job is to guard territory and protect its people against external threats. Government can perform this function by passing laws or using military force. The second function of government is to maintain order. Maintaining order means securing the safety of people and property by creating and enforcing laws. Breaking a law by hurting someone or damaging property is subject to punishment. The third function of government is to resolve conflict. Government can provide the means to resolve disputes between citizens, either through politics or the legal system. When a conflict arises between two citizens, the case can be brought before a court, and the law will decide who is in the right and who is in the wrong. The fourth function of government is to provide services. Government can provide a variety of services, ranging from education to public transportation. These services can help meet the needs of citizens, which are going unsatisfied in the private sector. The last function of government is to provide for the public good. Government can make decisions and policies that attempt to balance the public good with the needs of smaller segments of the population. These policies include regulation on pollution, speed limits on the road, and public health standards for restaurants. In order for government to be effective, it must have legitimacy. Throughout history, governments around the world have established legitimacy and the right to rule through various means. One of the most powerful is divine right. The divine right theory of rule states that rulers and government get their authority directly from God. If a citizen were to refuse the authority of the ruler, they'd be rejecting the will of God himself. Another source of legitimacy is through evolution. According to the evolution theory, states form gradually over time, growing from family and extended kinship groups. The authority to rule would be passed down from generation to generation, from father to son. In this theory, family lineage is the source of legitimacy. Some governments have gained the authority to rule through the social contract. According to this theory, states form when people reach an agreement to surrender some power to a common authority in return for security. According to the social contract, the government's authority to rule comes directly from the consent of the people. If at any time the government abuses the rights of the citizens, the people have the obligation and the right to overthrow the government and replace it with a new one that will protect their liberties. And finally, some governments have gained power through the use of force. According to the force theory of rule, states form when an individual or group uses force to make enough people submit to a central authority. In the force theory, the legitimacy of the government is based entirely on intimidation and fear. Regardless of how it is gained, when government has legitimacy, rulers are seen as right and proper by important segments of a nation's population. As a result, the people openly obey the laws of government without hesitation. Without legitimacy, government would be ineffective because laws would be ignored.